Birnbach's Always Right with Craig Birnbach and Nick Voll.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Birnbach's Always Right podcast. As always, I am joined by Nick Voll, my partner in crime. And Nick, how do you say your last name?
It's Voll.
Yep.
Rhymes with a-hole.
And how long have I known you?
Long enough that you should be able to pronounce my name correctly.
But I don't feel bad because, how do you say my last name?
Birnbach.
How many people say my name differently?
Well, that's a very good point. I don't, though.
You don't, it's true.
But I
have-
chalk it up to the fact you're from the East Coast and you
It's
say
an
some
accent.
words differently than I do. That's
I'll say-
fine.
It's true. It's funny because my brain, every time I say your name, as soon as it comes out, I'm like, that's not right. That's not right. But I get Birnbach all the time. And here's the awkward part about that. I say Birnbach. That's how I say my name. My brother, who's older than me, has the same name. He says Birnbach.
What does your mother say?
I divorced that name a long time ago, and I don't care, really. She says my name's Wondrous because that's the husband that lasted. My nephew now, that's where it's awkward. I've been to his class, and he says his name's Birnbach because that's what his dad told him. And so they say to me, weird enough to be called Mr. Welcome, Mr. Birnbach. I'm like, God, that's just weird. I asked my brother, I'm like, when did we become Birnbach? And my brother's response was, well, that's how you're supposed to say it because it's in German. I'm like, well, you're supposed to say Birnbach. And we don't say that. And that's not how you're supposed to say it because it's a name. It's a name. You say it the way you want it to be said. And our grandparents and our father, who, we don't, unfortunately didn't live up to the name, or maybe he did, and we're living above it. I'm not sure. He told us it was Birnbach. So now we don't know how to say our last name. And I get confused all the time. And people always ask me, so how do you say your name, Birnbach or Birnbach? And I give the worst response. I say, it doesn't matter. That's why we're in this predicament. Anyway, let's talk. We're here to talk sports and last names, but we have to discuss something that you brought up that I wasn't going to bring up last time, and that's that we were both nominated for Emmys.
Yeah, regional Emmys last weekend in Seattle. We got dressed up in our black suits, although Craig brought the wrong jacket for the wrong pants,
Thanks.
but no one could tell.
Thank you.
I mean, look, your secret's safe with me.
Not anymore.
But, we were both nominated, Craig, for Best Sportscaster, me in 2 categories for Best Health Science Program and Best Health Science Segment, but we both lost.
Yes, we did.
On the plus side, there's some silver linings here. So
Yes.
first off, Orion Ludlow, who does
Yes.
the voice work in this show, he won his first Emmy for Best Newscast, so congratulations to Orion. Well-deserved.
Definitely. If I was going to lose and Orion was going to win, I would not have signed up for that. But I'm so glad that he won. Well-deserved, works his butt off, and was nominated actually twice, and but only had his name on one of the entries, which is weird. You don't have to know that. All you have to know is this. If his other entry would have won, he would have not been able to give a speech or gotten the beautiful trophy. So everything worked out perfectly for Orion, and he gave a great speech. He didn't thank either one of us, which, I don't know why he wouldn't have.
I didn't do anything to help him.
But we were there. We were there.
True. I was in the back, so you were at K2, so they
Yes.
put you right up front.
Yeah.
I was literally back next to the college kids who paid $25 to sit there and smile.
And get our scraps from food, yeah.
We were there next to some people who were very nice, but were clearly not television professionals, and we are TV professionals in the back. I can't even see the speaker, so it's lucky they have a big screen, but we were glad to cheer. When I stood up to cheer for Orion, on my feet clapping, everyone just turned around and was like, who's this guy?
How do you know that guy?
Exactly.
Yes, no, we were close, and it's 4 hours of having Seattle people cheer. That's the painful part. So it was nice for Orion to win, and he does provide the wonderful voicers for us. So we thank Orion, and he will be on the show at some point because the mind of Orion Ludlow needs to have an outlet, and we're gonna give him an outlet at some point. So we'll go. You'll all learn why Orion's special, and I say that in a good and a bad way.
But it was a good weekend for you still, because you still won an award, even though you wasn't in Seattle. You won the Oregon Sports Broadcaster of the Year, correct?
Yeah, I got to give Dwight Jaynes some credit. We tied, which is rare, but I'll take it because Dwight Jaynes, I think he was the first ever sports writer here, right? Wasn't he here when sports was invented in Portland?
So, yeah.
And then crossed over to the TV world, so he's a much more well-known product, so I was proud. So yeah, I'm waiting. Dwight actually was in North Carolina to pick that up. I'm not sure if he picked mine up with him and took it in the plane. I think they're going to have to fly to mail it or something like that. So I forgot that was the same weekend, and now I'm feeling a little bit better about getting stomped by a Seattle sports anchor who was nice enough to buy me a cranberry juice after the award ceremony.
Well, that was very generous of him.
And he bought my wife a drink, a real drink. So
well, he should. He won. Drinks are on him. That's the rule.
I said that exact thing, but I put in a word you can't say even on a podcast in there. I did some cursing. I did, but in a friendly way. I'm sure. But
so wins and losses this weekend. There was a particular loss for you, a bet. Well, not just a bet.
Yeah.
Your hockey team lost it, but you lost a bet alongside that.
Yeah, which I figured out a way to make it a win, though. I like to say that. So Brian Wheeler, you all know Brian Wheeler. Wheels, great guy, good friend, the radio voice of the Portland Trailblazers, and an LA guy, and he's a Kings fan. So he called me out on his radio show, and we had a bet. Rangers-Kings. I'm a Ranger fan, and if the Rangers won, he would come on this show and do a podcast with us, and also get us pizza from my favorite pizza parlor in New York City. He'd fly it out here and pay for it. The good news, bad news. The bad news is the Rangers lost, and we're not getting pizza. The good news is Brian Wheeler is such a great guy. He's like, I would have come on your podcast. All you had to do was ask. So I should have just asked straight up, but he's going to come on. The bad news is I lost the bet, which means some point he's going to get me an LA Kings hat, and I will have to wear an LA Kings hat while I do a sportscast on K2. Which is not going to be fun. He told me, he's like, what size do you want? I'm like, I don't care. I'm not keeping it. I'm not going to take the hat and put it in my collection next to my Ranger hat. So I don't know when he's delivering it. He sent me a text last night after the game. Yeah, that's what you want to get, the losing text. Heck of a game, heck of a series, far more competitive than 4-1 sounds. Thanks, Wheels. I'll let you know when your cap arrives, and I'll do your. And then he wrote, and I'll do your podcast anytime when you want. So we're going to arrange that. So we want you out there. What questions you have for Wheels? Anything about his life, how he got to where he is, anything that he says on the air that interests you. He's a great guy. He's lived an exciting life. He was adopted, and I don't know, a lot of people, he wrote about it on his blog, how he found his birth family and now has a relationship, which is really cool. He's a Springsteen fan, so bring on those questions because gosh knows I'll love to hear the Bruce Springsteen questions. And anything Blazers, he'll answer it. Great guy. Who right now I can't stand. So that's just the truth.
Here's my issue. Here's my whole problem with this Brian Wheeler situation.
Oh, I didn't know you had a problem.
We record the podcast in my house.
Yes.
I'll have to clean my house according to like having a stranger who I respect coming to it. When you come to the house, I just try to make sure there's not trash laying around on the floor. That's really my only goal. Wheeler, I'm going to have to actually scrub, vacuum, open windows.
And he's a man with a microphone. He has a radio show himself, and the Blazers, you don't want to get called out. He's going to talk about this podcast. Yeah. He's never met you, so you're going to have to make a good first impression. Because I actually said you'd come and do our podcast. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, well, you got to go to my friend, Nick's house. He's like, well, yeah, that's not a problem. I said, but you might hate Nick. And he said, well, if he's a friend of yours, I'm sure I'm not going to hate him. And then I said, well, you might. So I put that out there. I put the bar real low for you. So really, just don't throw up on yourself.
Thanks,
and he'll probably like you.
As long as I don't throw up on him, even that's probably close enough.
It's true.
The big topic.
But talking about hockey,
yeah,
kind of got us talking a little bit about Portland and what's the future of hockey here. Is the NHL in it?
I think so. I think it's the next thing to come. Mike Johnston, who's the head coach of the Winterhawks, a little news here. I know you don't come for all the news, but he interviewed for the Vancouver Canucks head coaching job. So I hope he doesn't get it. I'm sorry to say that, Mike. No, I hope he gets it because he's a great guy and great coach. But for us, selfishly, we want to keep the best coach in WHL here. But yeah, I think that it's time, and all we need is the opportunity. And I say we as a city because I don't have the money to purchase the team, and I did have just enough to get 6 donuts this morning. So that's really, my budget's been busted because I got them for us. But yeah, I think that the good news is there's 2 options to get a team. As far as ownership, the owner of the Winterhawks is a billionaire Canadian oil guy, and Bill Gallagher, he has the money, and he's tried to buy an NHL team before. He does not have the arena because they ain't going to play in the Memorial Coliseum. In the past, Paul Allen has said, remember, he tried to get the Penguins, almost had the Penguins, and then they stole him back. But then he said he wasn't interested. But recently, he has new people running the business side of things, and that's the good news because they want to make money. And the way to make money when you own an arena is to fill seats every night. And Chris McGowan used to be with the LA Kings, is now the president of the Blazers. We know he likes hockey, and for the first time, there were rumors that Paul Allen was looking for an NHL team. So why not, man? The arena is beautiful for hockey, and you've been to a few Winterhawks games.
I have been. Not as many recently, but I have been to a lot of Winterhawks games.
They sell out the Moda Center when it's in there on the weekends. I think all you need to know about hockey fans in Portland is this. The NBA playoffs were going on a Wednesday. The arena was sold out. And next door, the Winterhawks are playing a hockey game in the Memorial Coliseum, which is not a fun place to watch a hockey game other than the hockey. And they sold out at the same time. So that shows that there's enough fans for that. The pricing will be different. It will hurt some Winterhawks fans that will be priced out. But in general, I think the crossover of the hockey fans from Winterhawks to NHL will work. I think it'll be a great NHL city. And I think that even guys like you that don't love hockey, would you love hockey if we got a team?
No, I would certainly not love hockey because I don't love hockey now. But I think I would treat it like I treat the Timbers, where I monitor their progress. I wish them well. I'll go to a game or two when I have the opportunity. I'm a casual fan, I don't.
You don't think you could step up? Because I love the MLS and I love the Timbers, but I think hockey might, because of the years that it's been around. I mean, we talk about it as a big four, even though the MLS is coming up strong. You don't think you might be able to be kind of part of the wave and jump in?
I say no. I don't think so. And part of it is because the sports that I enjoy following closely are sports I played as a child.
Okay.
So, I've never gotten into soccer because it's not a sport I played. I never played hockey. I played basketball. I played baseball. I played football. I like those sports because I know about them. And one of the things as a fan for me is watching a game, you can appreciate the athleticism and the beauty of the game and all that stuff. But it takes time to learn all those details. Why is this guy doing this particular thing, that sort of thing. And I don't think I'm willing to invest that much of my attention in life as an adult with lots of other stuff going on to learn the finer points of the game. So I think as a casual fan, I'll go to the game and I think, wow, those guys are really good at hockey. This is fun. I like to drink beer and watch sports, but I don't think I'll get into it as I would like a Blazers game where I really analyze what's going on. And I don't drink when I watch Blazers games. I'm not a huge drinker, but right. Sports fans, because I like to actually pay attention and watch and see what, how they're reacting to defenses and things like that. So I don't know where I'm going with this, but you can kind of get the idea.
I got you. I would say this. I'll make 2 points. That one, you don't have that much going on. You have time for hockey. Two,
false.
And two, the one thing I think that I always tell people that are watching hockey. Last night I had a bunch of people at my house who were watching it. I was with a Kings fan, a brother-in-law who I, unfortunately you can't disown. But and there were people that had never really watched hockey, and they were asking some questions and not getting too annoying. We know how it is. I don't want to have to explain the game at this point in time. I'm pretty sure we're going to lose. But I said they're on ice. Just think about that. They're on ice. They do what they do on ice, frozen water. And I think if you just kind of have that in your head, your appreciation, increases, and then you can kind of just appreciate the game from that standpoint, that they are skating on ice and turning and doing all that. And in person, I think it does change people's overall view of the game, because you can't the fact that it's on ice is not as apparent on TV. You know what I mean? Of course you know it, but when you're at the game and you see the shavings come off and you see them, some people slip, and the stink, because it's the worst smelling sport of all time. Leather, water, and sweat, that is a terrible locker room. I can tell you that from experience. So I think that hockey's coming. I think it's just a matter of time. I think Portland will embrace it. I think the fact that the MLS has been explosive here, Blazer fans are awesome, and that this city has grown to a point where it is just overflowing and people want their own thing. And that's the other thing I like is that about Portland is people do like to have their own thing, and that gives you the groundwork you need to build a base. I think hockey's ready to come here. Seattle wants a team badly, but they don't have an arena. We do. Paul Allen, I hope he's just says, yeah, buy a team, because it's that easy for him. And then I'm hoping in 2 years we're talking about the new NHL team here in Portland, because I think within 2 years, somebody's going to want to move. So
who do you see on the radar for that?
There's so many teams that are in places they shouldn't have hockey. I mean, Phoenix just survived to stay, but Nashville. What do you got a team in Nashville, Tennessee for? I mean, it's pathetic. I mean, Atlanta couldn't keep a team. It just there's so many teams that don't draw well enough on a consistent basis and have TV contracts that allow them to not care. But the thing with the NHL is they have multiple ones. It's not like in the NFL you go, well, what the heck's Jacksonville got a football team for? And you're like, I have no good reason for that. Mm-hmm. So you would say, oh, Jacksonville could move, though no team in the NFL has to move because of the TV contracts. I think that there are, and when you think about the NHL, where they do survive and they can thrive at times, sometimes it's a brief time. Like in the South, hockey blew up. They blew up in the 90s. Everyone loved it. I mean, I covered a minor league hockey team there that sold out 11,000 a night. Now they get about 3. Because eventually it's not the thing to do. And hockey, I think, hockey and NASCAR made mistakes. They went into places where they could find fans for an event. And for a few years it was the thing to do. But you need diehards. And in the South, they just don't have the diehards for pro sports in general. So I think a team out of the South is or the West, because some places, Dallas, I mean, almost didn't survive. That team was sold. So there are going to be teams that are going to want to find a new home. And Portland, I think the Northwest that's a place everyone's got their eye on in the sports world, and that's where Portland people can thank Seattle, because, just the Seahawks having that kind of success with their fans, the overall view of the country going, oh, wow, they're pretty crazy out there. That's awesome. And the MLS has helped a great deal. And but the number one thing is Paul Allen willing to buy a team and put it in his arena, and I think he is now. And that makes all the difference in the world, because you got a billionaire who owns an arena in your city, and it's ready for hockey tomorrow. I mean, there's nothing that has to happen. It's a great hockey arena. So 2 years, that's my time frame.
2 years.
Yep.
Birnbach's Reacts.
All right, enough about hockey. We're in Portland that has an NBA team. They're not in the finals, which, stinks. Summer League coming up. There's been great news. Thank you, Comcast. Sports Northwest is going to broadcast all the Summer League games, which means nerds like us.
I love it.
Like, nerds like us will watch these games. We will make humongous predictions that will never come true off of Summer League, which is awesome, because Jared Bayless is awesome. He's going to be an all-star. He's awesome. Myers Leonard looks, great. And C.J. McCollum's going to come in and start. All these things have happened because of Summer League. But it's great that they're putting them on TV, because we can watch them. And in my business, it's great because I can get highlights and show the people that only want to watch about 35 seconds of Summer League, which is much healthier than what we're going to do. But that's exciting news, because we'll get more basketball and more Blazers. And speaking of that, we always ask for your comments via Twitter. I'm at C Birnbach, KATU, and Nick Voll is simply at
Nick Voll.
There you go. VOLL. 2 L's.
Two L's.
In case. And you can on CraigBirnbach.com, where we post these beautiful podcasts along with my video blogs, and also on Craig Birnbach K2's Facebook page. We get some reacts and comments, and we got a few.
Yeah. Steak Johnson wants us to ask, does Paul Allen have the cojones to overpay for an all-star caliber 2-guard this year and next year for a legitimate shot at the ring?
That's a great tweet, because when you really break it down, does Paul Allen have the cojones? Well, I don't think that matters. What matters is how much money he has to overpay for a two guard so that you could compete. So it's like an oxymoron. Like you pay too much for a guy who's not worth it, which will get you to the next level, which would make it worth it, right? Wouldn't that?
I think if you overpay and win a championship, you didn't overpay.
Right. That's what I'm trying to get.
I'm gathering what you're saying. It's clicking now.
It's bizarre.
The hamster's on the wheel and running. So.
You can't have both. If you overpay, that means it was a bad decision. If you pay and they get you to the next level, then you've made a good decision. So, Steak, thank you. I love your name. I love your tweet. I will say that the salary cap does not allow them to overpay for a quote-unquote like all-star right now caliber, or just, I'm not sure who he means there. And I don't think two guard is a spot they're going to go after. I mean, it's, to me, they're very happy with Wesley Matthews, and why wouldn't they be? He's a rock-solid starter in the NBA who averaged about 16 points a game. Post-game this year offensively was new. Defensively, he's a monster.
Was among the best in the NBA in three-point shooting this year.
Which, I couldn't ask for more from Wesley. I mean, and he's played up to his contract, which was a lot when they gave him for 1 year undrafted player, Adam Arquette, who played 1 year, did really well for the Jazz, but because he was a second round, it was not drafted. He was a free agent. They didn't pay him, so thank you very much. And also, C.J. McCollum, like that. Where's C.J. going to play? Hopefully, the two guard. Last year we talked about this before. Mo Williams did a little bit of both. Basically, they played one backup until the playoffs, when all of a sudden out of nowhere. We had Will the Thrill, which is another thing. Will Barton. He's a two guard, don't you think?
He can play the three. I mean,
Sure.
If they go small lineup, he can go 2-3. I'd like to see him get more minutes. I don't think they need to go after two guard also. And another thing to think about is this isn't the 90s or early 2000s. There aren't a plethora of great two guards. This isn't a two guard league anymore. There's power forwards, there's point guards.
Stretch four. It's a stretch four league and point guards.
So I mean, there's not a lot of people to go out and get.
Yeah.
I mean, young good two guards, Klay Thompson, DeMar DeRozan. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah, and you're not getting them, and you don't need them. So I say to Steak, no. I think he doesn't. I don't know about his cojones, and I don't want to know anything about that. But
ask Monica Seles. He used to go to Blazers games with her. Sorry, continue.
Yes, he goes to Blazer games with young women. Good for him. But no, I don't. No, I don't think they're going to go for a two guard. I think that the most important thing is backup point guard, and we've talked about why. And Mo Williams right now is not under contract, so if Mo Williams signs elsewhere, you pretty much have no backup point guard at all. So you have to get one.
There are a bunch in free agency, though, really high quality guys too. I'd like to see them Blazers maybe think of more of a defensive minded, especially if you're gonna have C.J. McCollum and Will Barton getting minutes to two guard. I think Grievous Vasquez is available. There's talk. I mean, Kirk Heinrich's available, although that doesn't excite me too much. But there are guys available. So I like Mo Williams, but I wouldn't be disappointed if they got somebody who maybe fit in a little bit better.
What do you think of Darren Collison?
God, he's such an enigma. I mean, there are games he looks like a starter, and there are games he looks like he shouldn't be on the court. So,
I worry he needs minutes. That's my worry, is that he's a guy that when he does get to start, if there's an injury, he plays great, but in spurts, he doesn't. So that's my worry. I like Kurt Heinrich. I don't have a problem with that. I think that he got overhyped so much that and he got paid, that people now kind of think that he's not as good as he actually is. I mean, he is when he's not hurt, which unfortunately he's hurt a lot, he's quality. He can score. He's fast. He can play point guard, and defensively he stinks. So that's that.
I don't think he's a terrible defender.
No, but he's not. He's not what you're saying. He's not a guy that's going to come in and lock up a point guard. But I don't think the Blazers. I honestly don't think that they need that from their backup point guard, because there's no moment that you're going to go defensive at the point guard position to win a game when you're the Blazers, because you're never sitting Damian Lillard. You know what I mean? So I almost feel like, give me a guy that's going to come in who can score when Damian's off the floor. You need Damian to become a better defender. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna substitute. Okay, we need defense here. You're never taking Damian Lillard out of the game in crunch time.
But I'm not talking about crunch time. I'm talking about when the second unit comes in. C.J. McCollum, we know, can score.
Yep.
Will Barton, we know, can score. Mm-hmm. So why put another scorer with them when you can have somebody who's going to pass the ball and play defense? Because neither of those guys are strong defenders either. So then you'll have three, mediocre to bad wing defenders on the court. At least have one guy out there who can, lock up or who can.
That's a fair point. I just, like most people, your brain goes to offense. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to score? And the Blazers last year struggled at times offensively when Damian wasn't in the game.
Yeah.
And Mo wasn't. He's not really a point guard. He's a guard. He's a combo. He's a scorer. Whatever. He can dribble his butt off. He plays zero defense. He can shoot. He can pass, but he's not a point guard in my mind. Like a guy that can. I think Heinrich would fit that role. But we always forget the one thing is that it's not just what the Blazers want; it's what the player wants.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if Kurt Heinrich wants to, at this point in his career, his kind of last probably contract where he can play significantly and possibly be a starter
and choose where he goes.
Right. Why would he come to? It's hard, man, when you're trying to recruit players to come when you got a guy who plays 40 minutes a game. That's not what people don't want to sign up for 12 minutes. They just don't. I mean, Mo, people kind of gave Mo some crap because he said, look, this is my last chance to have a big contract. And so I need a big contract. And people are like, well, why would you do that? But they forget that Mo looks and says, you got a point guard that plays 40 minutes a game. So, and he never got hurt, which is awesome for Blazers. But he doesn't get hurt. So there's not even those moments of like, hey, Chris Paul missed 15 games. You could have your chance there. Yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to remember, and it's not like Mo Williams looks at this team and cares that they haven't won a championship since 1977. You know what I mean? He's like, my career's got 3 years left. I would like to win a title, and if I can go sign tomorrow with the Clippers, because Darren Collison's coming to the Blazers, I can do that and maybe win a championship and see significant minutes here and there or whatever. Or if I'm going to play 12 to 15 minutes, I'd rather do it on a team that I can win a championship. Though I think Mo's going to go to a team where he's going to play 25 to 30 minutes, and they're probably not going to be very good. But I don't see him signing back with the Blazers. I just don't see that as a possibility because his honesty, which is I want a 3-year contract, I won't get paid, and I don't think the Blazers want to put a lot of money in that backup point guard role. So no stake, that ain't gonna happen.
I think one other point, real quick, depending on who the Blazers sign, I think it'll be a real good sign of how the Blazers are viewed within the league. Because if they get a guy who could go somewhere else but chooses to go to the Blazers with the good playoff run they had and the young players they have, I'm really curious to see how they're viewed. Because if somebody, like say Grievous Vasquez, who I like a lot, if he comes in, he's an NBA starting caliber point guard. If somebody accepts a smaller role to be on a team like the Blazers, I think that it shows you how they're viewed in the league, whether or not people think they can win, and I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I think they're viewed better than people in Portland assume they are, because I think the rest of the league doesn't have the same view that we've talked about it before. Portland's small market, and I think that when you look around the league and you see Oklahoma City and you see San Antonio and you see certain teams in cities that aren't supposed to be quote unquote the places to be, they care about winning and getting paid. And I think the Blazers have parts now, but I really do think that Will Barton or C.J. McCollum are going to have to step up in that backup number 2. And I think that if one of them can become a true NBA player, now you got trade pieces. Now you got something that you can maybe go get a player of, maybe bigger ilk. But the Blazers have the pieces. They need to step up, and I don't know if we wanted to go there, but I think we can go there. I'm watching the Spurs, and I'm watching Kawhi Leonard, and my brain just explodes with Nick Batum. Like it just says, Nick Batum, because the Spurs needed a guy to step up with the other guys getting a little older and the other teams concentrating on them, and Kawhi Leonard has exploded. And my thought, and everyone talks about how young he is. Well, Nick Batum's probably I don't know if they're the same age or 6 months difference.
I think it's about 2 years. I think Batum's about 24 now.
24 and Kawhi's 22. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Nick
absolutely.
is
similar skill set, length, size.
They talk about the defense. They talk about can he shoot. I mean, Kawhi is hands are bigger, but Nick's arms are longer. Nick's a better shooter. Kawhi's more athletic maybe. But, man, I'm like, that's what you need. And we've seen from Nick before, and we've had this discussion, and I've done a video blog about why I want Nick Batum to do more. And I think that that's what you're seeing. Like, I think that Blazer fans, when you watch Kawhi Leonard explode for 30 points in the NBA Finals and look like the best player on the court at times when you've got Hall of Famers on the court, and he's not better than LeBron, he's not better than Tim Duncan, but you know what I'm saying. Like, when you see this guy when you see Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker on the court, Ginobili, and the guy you're talking about after the game is Kawhi Leonard, that's impressive. And to me, I look at the Blazers and I see LaMarcus, I see Lillard, I see Wes, who, I don't want Nick compared to, but his numbers are comparable. I go, Nick, you can be that Kawhi Leonard piece that could change the Blazers from a team that lost in the second round to a team that's in the Western Conference Finals. Competing. Could they beat the Spurs? I don't know. But, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, did you get any of those feelings watching Kawhi?
Batum, I didn't. No, I'm just at this point. I'm watching the Spurs and just admiring what they do.
It's like beautiful painting.
It is like a beautiful pass, dunk. Yeah. Oh wow, that's just great. There's nowhere to be, and so let's go on to our next. We're running out of time here. Let's go on to our next. This is a Facebook comment.
Yeah.
Andrea was listening with her daughter, and she commented that she thinks your voice sounds just like the Cat in the Hat. And
I don't know what that means.
I don't have children, so I don't watch the Cat in the Hat. But it's probably a good thing.
Right. They didn't say creepy, a creepy cat.
It wasn't the Grinch. It was the Cat in the Hat.
Right. The Grinch would be bad.
Although the Cat in the Hat, if you read that book, he's not a nice dude. He's kind of a dick.
Right. Yeah. He's a terrible babysitter who's lazy, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And then has some extra powers to clean up at the end. Isn't that what happens?
I think that's exactly it.
Right. So you're right. He's basically the worst babysitter ever, except for the kids, because they had a good time and I don't remember everything, but I do think that they wrecked the house. They might have killed the fish. Did they kill the fish? They might have flushed the fish. I don't recall. Yeah, anyway, I'll take it as a compliment, because if we can get young listeners, get them early, and then
by the time she's old enough to be an adult, we'll be 60. It's great.
Hey, well, if we're still doing this, I don't know if that's good or bad for us or them. But you know what? I'll take it, because I could have been called much. I've been called much worse, and I get emails all the time from one lady that calls me motor mouth, and that's not a compliment. Yeah.
It's accurate.
Probably true, but it's that hurts.
Final thoughts.
All right, final thoughts. Nick, will you watch the World Cup? That's my question.
I genuinely enjoy the World Cup. I'm not a soccer fan.
I know, that's why I asked.
But I like the World Cup. It's like the Olympics to me. It's like once every 4 years I can drop into something I don't know a lot about, get kind of caught up in it, and enjoy it for what it is. And then there's a lot of spectacle, and I appreciate the athleticism and how excited other people are. So,
you just sounded like my mom. That's how my mom describes all sports. I appreciate the athleticism, and every once in a while I can get caught up with the hype. Now the truth is, you will watch the World Cup. My mother will watch 25-second highlights on K2 when I do the highlights. So, I'll take it. So we're going to talk more about the World Cup coming up in our next podcast. Once again, if you have questions for Nick or myself, get me on Twitter at @CBirnbach, KATU, @Nick Vol. Go to our website, craigbirnbach.com. And remember, Brian Wheeler, soon to be a guest on Birnbach's Always Right podcast. So if questions for Wheels, send them our way. And Wheels is about to learn what you guys already know. Birnbach's Always Right.